Great events, Amsterdam, perfect city.
So, good afternoon. So, I will talk about the Smart Edge, but I also want to tell you a little bit about, what Bosch actually is doing in IoT and how we are doing it and where we are with this. But before I even go to this, I would like to give a little bit of background from where I'm coming from. And so basically, I started working in IoT in 2001, if you want, right? I joined a company called Bosch Software. Bosch Software was acquired by Bosch in 2015. That's how I landed there. So back then, 2001, Bosch was a startup, 2 years old. They didn't have a single customer back then. BSH, funny as it is, was or Bosch Siemens Home Appliances back then. It was our first customer. The problem, or not the problem. So we were one of the few vendors for software in the connected home. And the term Internet of Things, was rarely used in the scientific community, right? So Kevin Ashton, being the one that sort of founded it, right? And to many companies we were talking to, an open platform was really scary. Especially when you talk to car manufacturers, they think about, when I have an open platform, what can go wrong? Yeah? How to deal with liability issues and so on, right? So they just didn't want to have it, right? And then, especially true for the smart home domain, everybody was looking for the killer application. SMS, was the example. We want something like SMS for the smart home. Nobody, found it. Not even till today, I would say, right? So things were not really moving forward. So companies didn't invest in this area. We actually had or convinced a couple of companies to actually, develop smart home solutions. But then, when they were about to launch their product, they sort of canceled it because, they were fearing, it's too much of a risk. So in summary, or maybe before I go that, so what we did back then was a Java OSGI-based middleware specifically for a smart home. And Java focused on gateways, embedded devices, right? So Java in embedded devices was something that people also were not too keen about back then, right? So CPU power, resources was expensive, let's say, right? So we sort of offered a solution for a problem that did not exist. So that has significantly changed today. So in 2019, it's all about platforms and ecosystems, right? So this is, there are about, and that's from 2017, I'm not sure what the number is today, there are 450 IoT platforms on the market. And obviously, it's not all the same thing, right? So, some IoT platforms are more specific, have focus on, big data or whatever, right? But anyway, so it's a big number, right? And it's very confusing for actually a company that wants to adopt IoT. What is the right solution? And please also consider that was 90 platforms more than in 2016, right? So in 2016 it was around 360. So IoT affects many domains, and just a few examples in energy, in industrial IoT, smart home, healthcare, automotive, transportation, basically everywhere. You have to deal with a wide range of devices. That can be a simple sensor, but that can also be, big, machinery. And the complexity is increasing. Just think about, smart home. Smart home, is part of smart grid, if you want, right? So we have your electric vehicle at home. You want to charge it, so you part of the smart grid, if you want, right? And the smart grid is sort of also being part of the smart city, if you want, right? So, and obviously there is no single technology, no single platform that can, build a solution for this. So you basically, need to enforce interoperability, no matter, what kind of technology you have, if it's open source, if it's proprietary, if it's standards-based. And yeah, so interoperability is still sort of an issue. I mean, device abstraction layers, help you, or help the developer if you want, right, to abstract the complexity of the protocols away. But there is, on a semantic level, we still have, I would say, a big gap today. And obviously, privacy security is still a major concern for users. All right, so this is just to visualize the complexity that I just mentioned, right? So I don't know if you know this. The Internet of Things landscape is from last year. I think there is not a newer version of it, but you basically see all kinds of, building blocks, if you want, and who is active there, just to visualize. All right, Bosch. So Bosch is a huge company. So we have in total, I believe, 410,000 employees. Was founded by Robert Bosch in 1886. We have a lot of software developers, R&D associates. We have about 200 plants worldwide, and already have a lot of IP-enabled devices. And you see the areas and where we are active. Mobility solutions. This is everything around connected cars, autonomous cars. So we build lots of ECUs for vehicles and so on. Industrial technology. Our colleagues from Bosch Rexroth do a lot of stuff there. We have our own PLCs and so on. Energy and building technology, and then also consumer goods, which is, for example, the home appliances, the power tools, and so on. We do. And Bosch Software Innovations was founded in 2008 with a mission to build an Internet of Things platform. And today we are about 700 associates there. So Bosch wants to become a leading IoT player. And so the Bosch management, the group management, made the decision that we want to have all our electronic products IoT-enabled or web-enabled by 2020. So I'm not sure where we are with this, but we already have really a lot of devices that have connectivity. Our household appliances have already connectivity to the cloud, if you want. And with this, we want to offer new connected services, and I mean, not just sell a physical product anymore, right? And the way we want to do this, and you may not know this, Bosch is actually pretty big in sensors. So we build around 4 million MEMS a day. So probably, every phone, iPhone, Android phone has, some Bosch sensor in it. If you think about it, it's logical, right? So in the automotive business, where we, create most of our revenue, you also deploy a lot of sensors. Also, the fact that autonomous cars is coming, you need a lot of sensors and so on, right? So basically, the strategy is sensors, software, services, right? And we want to do this basically for all our business units. Just to give you an overview where we are with this today, as I mentioned already, a lot of IP-enabled devices. This includes, for example, the household appliances, but also other things. The Bosch Iot Suite, which is the product that Bosch Software Innovations is building. We connect around 5 million things, I would call it. Also, a lot of vehicles are part of it. So we are increasing this, heavily each year. So Bosch Software Innovations, is active in basically all IoT domains that you can imagine, with one exception, maybe healthcare is not so much our thing. But you find us, for example, in the telecom area. So Deutsche Telekom is using our, stack, for example, in their Kivicon smart home product in every router. You find us in agriculture. You find us in vehicles, in heating systems, and so on. Right. So just to give you an overview of where we are active. So the Bosch IoT Suite is basically the glue that brings, the things with the services together. And the way we do this is, I will not go into detail here. So this is basically, where I'm trying to focus a little bit now. We have a product that is called Bosch IoT Gateway Software. And so what happens here is really that we provide, connectivity for all kinds of IoT protocols that you can imagine. We abstract these protocols so that the app developer doesn't really need to, have the knowledge on how Bluetooth or Zigbee or Z-Wave works. Yeah, he just wants to, for example, turn on a light bulb. Right, so he doesn't care, how it is done, and in the end, he would love to switch all of them anyway, right? So what we do here as well is that we have an automation engine, so that you can have local logic there, right? And I'll go a little bit into detail. What is our technology-wise? We use OSGI. I'll tell a little bit more about this later. So then we have some other pieces that are, let's say, not in the focus so much, but obviously, IoT is not about just the edge. There's also, cloud component to it. And Bosch Software Innovations has, something similar to what you know from Azure, from AWS. We have our own hub, we have our own digital twin service, and we connect also devices without gateways directly to the cloud. So what do we do different? I think one of the core differentiators is that we build our platform in the open source world. So especially that was a wrong button. Especially the cloud services like the hub and the sync service that I showed before. We developed this as part of the Eclipse IoT working group. We have a couple of other projects that we drive there. In the gateway or in the embedded side of things, we use OSGI a lot. And then we are also very heavily active in the Industrial Internet Consortium, where we basically can, pilot the technology also together with end users and potential partners. So OSGI, who of you knows OSGI? No, ThinkStream does know, David knows, right? So not so many, all right? Okay, so OSGI is an alliance that was founded in 1999. And so IBM was one of the co-founders, Ericsson, a couple of other companies, pretty big companies even. And so they had sort of the mission to build a middleware for connected homes, connected buildings. And what came out of it was actually, far more than that. So it's a Java-based middleware that follows the principles of service-oriented architectures. It's modular, right? So and it's very abstract. So meaning you can basically use it in all types of environments. You find, it, for example, in the Eclipse, IDE, this plugin mechanism. That's OSGI. IBM, for example, has, Dan is always telling about 150 OSGI-based products, like, for example, the WebSphere application service based on OSGI. So we from Bosch, we have always, or POSIST, back then, we have focused always on the embedded side of things, on the gateway side. So the thing is, so that's one part, so you can, build your application modular, you can manage the life cycle of your application, and you can, for example, update certain functionalities or modules, yeah, at runtime without interrupting. And that's standardized. So there are also various open source implementations. So Eclipse has 2 implementations. You find something in the Apache Foundation and so on. And our Bosch IoT Gateway software also builds on this, and OSGI also does provide a couple of specifications related to IoT, like, for example, the device abstraction layer and so on. All right. So, gateways. So why do I want to have, this complexity at the edge or locally, right? And let me tell you about my experience also, especially recently when we, were working with customers. And they sometimes they dream like, there is my device, I send raw data into the cloud, I analyze it, and I built a new business case. So the thing is, that's all possible, but it's expensive, right? So sending data, storing it into the cloud, doing something with the data, is insanely expensive. Yeah. So doing it or doing as much as possible at the edge is not only a cost factor, right? But I think it also builds, an actual business case for IoT in general. So just to give you a few examples. So, that's basically our bread and butter. What we do, we deal all the time with different integrating devices. They support or come with different protocols, like I mentioned, Zigbee, Z-Wave, and so on. So all this non-IP world, right? So we deal with this, as I said, on a daily basis. Oh, that was the wrong button. Sorry again. So lots of protocols, right? So and you need to understand these protocols when you use them, right? So it's not that easy. Then you have some local notifications, yeah. So you can reduce the traffic to the back end, right? Because you can deal with it locally if the use case actually permits, right? And that means also reducing cost. Then there is the latency issue, right? So even with 5G, maybe, yeah, you may have lower latency, but still, the latency locally, or handling the latency locally, is sometimes quite important, especially when we talk about industrial use cases or even autonomous cars. You don't want to send all the data from the car in the cloud and wait. Should I brake or should I wait, right? So. Then you obviously, if you have enough power on the gateway side, yeah, you have the capability to do local processing, right? So you can do data analytics, you can, all kinds of data processing, and most of the time, I think you will not have an issue with the hardware capabilities. You train your let's say data analytics model, in the cloud, let's say, and then you deploy it, to the edge. And that's, what many companies actually do today. So then you can have like a local rule engine, yeah? So this can be sometimes very simple. Why shall I send data? And this is actually happening. There are examples for this, yeah? So you have a motion sensor. The motion sensor detects I walk by, and sends the data to the cloud in order to turn on the light. Why should I do that? Right? And you can obviously do this, as complex as you want. Yeah. Also here you can actually reduce cost by not sending, the data into the cloud. And you can also, share resources, right? So Deutsche Telekom, just an example, builds an actual smart home ecosystem, and they are not just doing it, by themselves. They have, several partners that actually, use what they built. So it's sort of also a B2B scenario they have. So they build the gateway, the hardware, and they offer it to companies, for example, like Miele. Yeah, Miele says, I want to build like, you know, connected home appliances, right? But I don't have, you know, the knowledge for building the gateway side. So they are very happy that somebody is actually doing it and provides them the necessary tools to build their basically smart home or connected home solutions on top of it. Yeah, and Deutsche Telekom is even doing, you know, the operations, everything, right? So it's let's say it's a win-win situation for everybody. And then independence of backend is another thing, right? So I mean, here you can say, so for one customer, you know, I decide I go to the Bosch IoT Cloud, for example. For the other customer, I want to go to Microsoft Azure or I don't know what, right? So this here, I think, is also very important because at least our customers, yeah, in many cases, they have already decided which cloud environment they want to use, right? So they want to send telemetry data to the Azure IoT Hub because they want to be part of the Azure IoT ecosystem. In other cases, you know, they already have, I don't know, frame contracts with AWS, so they want to, you know, do that. And the flexibility is really, I think, important here. All right, one example, EnBW, Smite. Smite is actually sort of a startup that came out of EnBW, and they have these connected streetlights. So for one, you can charge your electric vehicle there, but it also comes with different sensors. So for example, it's sort of a weather station as well, and so on. And it also can detect basically, you know, when the light actually needs to be turned on and so on, right? And in here, they have a piece of hardware, yeah, with our OSGI stack. Yeah, so they basically connect all these different, you know, sensors. Yeah, there's, you know, the smart meter and so on connected, and they send telemetry data into their own, let's call it, backend system, right, where they process the data, and basically, you know, build a connected solution out of it. And they sell this very successfully, not just in Germany, but also in Brazil and so on, right? And they can also do it with different in different configurations, right? So yeah, there are, you know, different capabilities that you can actually, you know, purchase. And then what they do also, obviously, is they want to manage this, right? So they want to be able to send software updates or to change configurations on the device, on the fly. And this is actually, in my opinion, a perfect use case also for ThinkStream. I think, you know, you could very easily use the ThinkStream technology here. All right, to say a little bit about what we are doing with ThinkStream. So we, for one, we already have a joint customer, which we are very happy about. And ThinkStream, for example, has built a protocol adapter that runs on our IoT gateway software. So we can basically, you know, send messages from our gateway through, you know, the ThinkStream backend into the Bosch Iot Suite. What we also, that's something that we are working on right now. So we have, I don't know if you know this little device here. It's called XDK. It's a sensor development kit. It comes with 8-9 different sensors. And so it basically allows you to send or receive data via Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, or via USB, or you can connect via an extension board, a 3G, 4G modem, which is what we did here, or what we are doing here, in order to send telemetry data from the XDK using the ThinkStream technology into our own Bosch IoT Hub in order to basically visualize it, for example. So that's where we are. That we will let's say do a blog post about this when it's ready, and also make it available so that people can actually use it or build it themselves. All right. So okay, so that's basically my last slide, and then I'll go over to the questions. Bosch is also organizing an annual event. We call this Bosch Connected World, which is like a conference with lots of high-level speakers, and we also do a hackathon, which has become, as I've told, the biggest IoT hackathon on mainland Europe. Somewhere on one island there was something bigger, I was told, but and I'm not sure it was the UK, to be honest. So, but anyway, point being, so we have different streams, yeah, and we have partners that bring technology, and so we basically have a setup, where you can just get together in teams and build some I don't know, prototypes. And that's very exciting. All right. So, all right, that was it from my presentation. And let's go to the questions. Any approach recommend to semantic interoperability? Yeah, that's a tough one also. There are various standardization activities. So the W3C is active in this area. There is also something happening that's driven by the European Commission. It's called ZAREF. I don't remember what it exactly means, but there are various activities. The problem is, I would say they are not yet mature enough in order to deploy it commercially anywhere, right? So that's still it's still in an early stage, in my opinion. So it probably still also needs a couple of years until we reach a maturity level that makes it useful to be used. Will all Bosch products being enabled with IoT, including tools? Yeah, that's absolutely the idea. We actually already have some connected tools. So, for example, Bosch Rexroth has industrial tightening tool, the 8,000 euro piece. I mean, then you can at least expect connectivity, right? But yeah, so they use this, for example, in airplanes. So Airbus is using it for tightening the windows and so on, right? And it's not just about just connecting it; it's about locating it. That's one issue. Yeah, they want to know where are the tools and who's using the tools. They want to be able to assign tasks to the workers, for example, but they also want to receive data from the tightening process. Yeah, so as you can imagine, for a window, that's that's something very critical. Yeah, so you want to be sure that the tightening process was according to the specifications, and having the wrong angle might already make a difference. Yeah, that's one thing. Then we have for construction workers, so we have these normal tools. They themselves are not yet connected, but you can actually buy a Bluetooth low energy tag, and then you have an app, yeah, that is sort of like your planning tool, if you want. And so you can basically plan your working day. Yeah. So what are my construction sites today? What tools do I need? And then you check before you leave: do I have all the tools in the vehicle and so on, right? So and we also plan to actually do this in future without the tech. Yeah. Additionally, so that the tech basically is already included. Yeah, in the device. So all right. Does Bosch have its own IoT platform? If so, how many devices are already using it and how many users? So yeah, we have our own IoT platform. That's the Bosch Iot Suite, right? We connect, the number I think was 5 million things, if you want, right? So these are smart home devices, for example. Bosch has its own smart home system. We also do, for example, firmware updates of vehicles. So we have a couple of million vehicles that are connected to the Bosch IoT Suite. So we have the industrial PLCs from Rexroth, the IoT gateway it's called, right? So that's in the production sites and so on, right? So in total is 5 million, I believe, that we connect today, and it's growing. Yeah, especially on the vehicle side, we plan to have 25 million connected vehicles by 2025. Yeah, just the cars. How many users? I can't tell, to be honest. So, I mean, just consider, Deutsche Telekom is deploying it today, yeah, with every router. That are about 2 million per year. And then the customer actually can decide whether he wants to use, the smart home functionality or not, right? But yeah, so you see, it's something that is really, deployed in big numbers. All right, then I guess I'm done for today. Thank you.